and it should be said, sitting here quietly, Duncan McCann, who is Sarah's coach. But it's a powerful story that she tells there, isn't it?
And I think, obviously, because I work a lot with Sarah, it's something that a lot of people go through as well. And I think sport generally can help a lot of people.
Yeah, an empowering thing in a circumstance where you might feel the power's been taken away from you because of the circumstances of an injury. So, back to Sarah's story. Sarah Bard, singer turned wheelchair tennis player, is how we sum it up, and Duncan McCann, who is Sarah's coach. Volunteering in this world, Duncan, you tell me.
Yeah, definitely.
So why would you volunteer to be a tennis coach? You've got work to do.
I have. Well, I'm self-employed as a consultant in the cycle industry. I do international business. So luckily, a lot of the companies that I do business with are overseas, so work in a slightly different time zone, which can free up some hours during the day.
Oh, that's decent of you, though. And when did you first meet Sarah?
About just under a year ago now.
It was just before the British Open.
Just before the British Open.
And I needed someone to hit with, so I went to the tennis social and I asked if someone would be kind enough to hit with me to get the practice. Because at that point I had been a novice player and I was looking to improve. And Duncan was just amazing at it because he was like, yeah, go on, I've got some time on my hands. He was amazing, and I was like, you've got to do this.
So what did hitting involve? I mean, did you stand and play, or did you have to get in the chair, or what?
No, just stood and play.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. But I did a lot of studying. There's quite a lot of YouTube tutorials on the different techniques for wheelchair tennis. So it was quite funny because every time I turned up to do a session I was like, I was watching this on YouTube and we need to do this now and this is brilliant, let's do it. And so it kind of just every time we got together I'd learn something new. I mean, because I do work with a lot of wheelchair athletes now, and just a lot of disability players who from various different levels. Personally, I found it quite difficult to actually get in a chair. I thought that it wouldn't be accepted. But it kind of got to the stage where you can read a book about flying a helicopter. Doesn't mean to say you can go in one and fly one. And then I jumped into the chair and started playing. And that was when my respect level just went through the roof, because it is... I mean, I'm a fairly decent tennis player, but... it was just completely different skill.
I should just say Judy Murray described wheelchair tennis like playing chess whilst riding a bicycle.
Good way of putting it.
And it was great for me because I was learning a new thing to do as well, and I was really enjoying it.
How interesting, though, that you've stayed a pace ahead in terms of learning what to teach in terms of the technique.
Well, I mean, the technique is, I've been playing tennis since I was about 7. And when I was in Leeds, I was members of all the tennis clubs, and so I've been playing quite a while.
There is a lot of crossover, and Duncan's skills, would have been enough to challenge me and for me to improve. But he was also interested in the wheelchair specifics, techniques, and that's where he kind of shines.
So, I mean, there are obvious basic questions about playing wheelchair tennis. Do you always hold the racket in one hand and move yourself with the other, or do you swap over at all? Or?
You hold the racket in your right hand, and you use the handle of the racket to move the chair on that side.
Ah, right.
And then you move the chair with your left on the other side.
Yeah. Wheelchair tennis, I have seen, of course, it's now given good prominence at Wimbledon, isn't it? And wheelchair basketball. I don't know if you ever thought of doing that. That just looks like madness to me.
I have chronic pain.
Right.
And the idea of being in a situation where people could crash into me is pretty much my worst nightmare. So tennis is the ideal for me.
Probably not overstating the case. So it's probably saved your life, hasn't it, tennis?
Yeah, I think it probably has. It certainly gave me a life. Before I started playing it, I couldn't imagine a future. I was sort of stuck in that moment. By that time I had worked out a way of getting care, and I was supported, but it had been such a long slog, and it had taken all my confidence away because of the process. There wasn't anything in my mind ahead of me. And then gradually sort of I started by going to a come and try event in Nottingham city centre. They had a sort of a Paralympic come and try. I tried a few things and they were fine, but the tennis was amazing because it was the only one where it involved all my attention, all my concentration, because you had to move the chair, go for the ball, you had to plan where the ball was going to bounce, you had to meet it rather than, and so I forgot about the pain. And it puts you in the moment. I suppose it's a kind of mindfulness in that way. And then I gradually built up my ability, my fitness, started losing weight that I'd gained from when I fell, and now I'm here.
And here is aiming for a place in the top 10 British players.
The last time I looked, I was the British number 17, World 200, and the plan is to work as hard as I can, improve as much as I can, and get as good as I can.
What does she need to work on then, Duncan? Where's the
honestly,
training going now?
We went to the British Championships this year, and she performed really well, and she has the talent and the ability to beat anybody there. But as with a lot of sports, it becomes mental. So you need to push through that barrier. But the skill level is there, the commitment's there. The commitment's definitely there. This year will definitely do it. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind.
The mental side of sport I find absolutely fascinating because it is the difference between a world class player and an average player. Yeah. Really, it can be all in the mind. Do you see Sarah's ability change? Can you see, she's lost it now, we're going to have to take a break? Yeah, I'm sorry to talk about you like you're not here, Sarah.
No, it's interesting for me.
Do you know?
I think everybody's biggest critic is themselves. And with tennis being an individual sport, the only person you have to answer to is yourself. It's not like some guy at the other side of the field or girl has done something that's affected the game that's not your fault. Everything that does happen is your fault, if you could put it like that. But I mean, I think just to obviously with Sarah, we're at the elite level, but the fact is that I think from her story and a lot of other people's stories, we're very, very lucky here to have the Nottingham Tennis Centre, which is one of the best facilities in Europe, and we have a full schedule of disability stuff. So we've got visually impaired and blind, which is really interesting, and then we've got obviously the wheelchair, we've got learning disabilities, we do the full range. And I think you find, with going back to Sarah's story, with her feeling isolated, she's now got a group of friends. We do social stuff together, and it's kind of like, I hate to say family, but, it is a really tight network of friends that, have come from diversity together. And they've all, they all respect each other, and we just have such a good time. It's amazing. It's just really good fun.
How can people join in with this? What should they do, Sarah?
On Friday nights, Duncan runs a session at the tennis centre.
Yeah, Friday nights we're there from 5. If you get in touch with the centre, the first hour is learning disabilities from all spectrums, all ages. It doesn't matter whether you've never picked up a racket in your life before. We have a lot of coaches there to help out. The second hour is visually impaired and blind, so we set the court up for them. And then the last hour is wheelchair. We have at least 30 wheelchairs to fit every shape and size, so anybody can come and just come down and have a bit of fun playing tennis.
So Friday nights, Nottingham Tennis Centre. Brilliant to meet you both.
Thank you.
And absolute inspirations, the pair of you today. Thank you, Sarah Barr and Duncan McCann. Good to meet you both on BBC Radio Nottingham, just coming up to 28 minutes to 4. So.